Oh, he didn't do that. He didn't do that. I'll leave him a note, but he just never wants to do a story. Doesn't want any attention.
Doesn't want what?
Any attention. He wants to do a story on him. I'm like, I don't feel ever
I
doing
mean, I can do the story without it.
it.
I mean, it makes no, I mean, I can do research and do a story without it, but I'd much rather talk.
I can't think of the guy who used to be the great thing with Michael Schubert.
Sure,
He got one story out of it. If Glenn's amazing, if you ever get to sit down, you better listen. But it's hard getting there.
Just tell me that
I will.
it's on personal.
You know, I gotta go.
You just probably know that.
No, I will tell you.
Here I am. But it's Scotch.
I just can't believe he promised. He's
No, I
done.
understand. If you're in fact, I'm shut up some of our board along.
Yeah.
It's very surprising.
Well, he's very thankful. Yeah, that's why he's there.
That's great.
Yeah.
Hell, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So much. You know, right. So, I mean, I did my lunch. I was the golf permit. I can leave early.
Oh.
So then the big permit.
Poor Billy's in the golf course, and he doesn't get a luncheon today. Oh, God.
If any Hello, Paul.
Hi Todd, how are you?
Doing well.
Second or here to get tested at home.
Paul, can you hear me?
Yes,
Can't hear you.
Yeah.
I can hear you guys.
Paul, you're on mute, I think.
Try it now, Paul.
Oh,
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
I just wanted to let you know I printed off the resolutions.
Okay, thank you.
sure.
Yes, yes. You did all of that, man. Sure. Background, it's the left part of that.
Oh, that one was, yeah, okay.
So it's the second dog. It's
Cheryl, you're gonna need to be able to share the screen.
We will, yes.
I'll go ahead and make you the host now, just so you can do that.
Okay.
That'll come.
Actually, hang on one second.
I usually tip on that, but one was. Start. Yeah.
We're ready to start.
All right, everybody ready? Yes. All right, Paul, you ready?
Yes, sir.
Call June 24, 2026, 76 entertainment meeting. Yeah, this meeting order. Really? So, clerk, please.
Thank you. Father, we thank you for Branson, we thank you for this country, we thank you just as we celebrate the 250 years celebration of this country. I know there's a lot of people, especially in Branson, are preparing to celebrate. And I thank you for just blessing this country as we move forward, Father, that you continue to guide this country in a way that we glorify to you. Maybe you continue to make this country great and honor you. We are thankful just for the effort that everybody, the staff and the mayor, the aldermen are making to make this celebration very, very special. We ask for the safety. We pray that you continue to just give us a great celebration. We thank you to be able to serve in this capacity in the CIG Board. We ask that you continue to guide us and give us wisdom and direction as we move forward. May the things that we do be pleasing to you. May give us the will and the direction in a way that it be pleasing, in a way that it be good for the community, for the tourists, and for just for the for everybody that are involved in this thing here. Thank you again for all you things that you do. We ask a blessing upon it. And I pray all this in one full name. Amen. Amen.
Let's do it. Thank you. Paul, can you give a roll call, please?
Yes, so Chuck is present. I see Brian is present, Mike is present, Billy is present. I see the mayor is present, Alex G, and is Alderman Williams present?
I'm present, sir.
Okay, thank you. Looks like everybody's present.
Thanks, Paul. Has everybody had a chance to get the minutes from the May 27th meeting? Okay. We'll have a chance to review them. I'll entertain a motion to approve minutes from May 27th.
Motion approved.
Second, Billy, thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Those same sign. All right, let's take a look at CID financials.
Afternoon. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, Alice.
Okay. Good afternoon. So we are 42% done with the year, and we've collected $2,241,772 in revenue and expended $80,322 in expenditures. And sales tax is up 3.5% over this time last year. Are there any questions about the financials to date so far?
Allison, you said at the beginning, did you say the revenues were down?
Nope, the revenues are up. Right now we've only collected 39% of budgeted revenues, but usually in the last 6 months of the year we see that sales tax increase because we're not our sales tax increases in our busier months, and so we're collecting our off season months revenue, and like next month we should see that sales tax revenue increase a little bit, but we still are 3.5% greater than this time last year.
Thank you.
Also, what's current inflation rate? You know, off the top of your head?
I'm not for sure what we're seeing. I mean, most things are coming in around 5%, and that's what we budgeted for. We're seeing some like material costs come in higher than that. But right now, if we want to say overall, it's around 5%.
So if we look year over year, well, it looks like we're up 3.5% with inflation. We're either flat or down ahead.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
my assessment. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but that would be my assessment.
I mean, that's it. Yeah, and that's saying that everyone in the CID has raised their prices 5% to adjust for inflation, right? Which doesn't always happen either. But yeah, if people are to adjust their sales price for inflation, then yes, then we haven't caught up with inflation.
Todd, do you have anything to add to that?
Can you repeat that?
That question probably should go to Todd, I'm guessing. I don't know, Todd, if you have better or more information to.
You know, if he has the prices received from the different businesses that increased their prices, I know we increased this. So, yeah, there's a number of businesses that have. We get it. So.
Are you talking about inflation?
Just larger market forces, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly fuel prices are a big wild card here. Those seem to be coming down now, but I agree with Allison that, you know, probably somewhere around that 5% range is what we've been hearing, you know, somewhere 3 to 5. I think the CPI last year was a touch under 3, but I think to Chuck's point that, you know, it would appear that if the CID revenues are 3.5% above what it was a year ago at this time, more than likely, most of that increase is due to inflation.
Thanks, Todd. Thanks, Allison. See if any other questions on the financials. Hearing none, I guess we can move on to R2026-02. Resolution approving an amended fiscal year 2026 budget of the 76 Entertainment Community Improvement District. Allison, do you have that available to where you could just do a brief run through? I know most of us all looked at it. Just a quick run of it would be great if possible.
Yeah, give me 1 second. So if you can see the lines highlighted in yellow, those are what we're amending. So we did increase the side.
Hold on 1 second. Paul, can you make Allison able to share the screen?
Cheryl, can you share it? Do you have it up on your screen? I don't have it up on my computer. I have it up on my phone.
I don't.
I can. Give me 1 second then.
Allison, do you need to be made the host?
Yep.
Give me 1 second. Okay, you should be good, Allison.
Trying to share it right now. Just trying to open it.
And Paul, I've got it pulled up here. If we'll give Allison a chance to open it up. If she can't do it, I can share my screen.
Try one more time. My PDF editor is not opening. It's just a black screen. Todd, can you share it?
Absolutely. Looks like Paul's gonna have to click it over to me. Okay,
There we go. So the lines highlighted in yellow are what we're amending. We did increase the sidewalk for that 20% match. The costs were increased, and so we'll have to fund 200,000 of that sidewalk match for the grant money.
Allison?
Yep.
Can you enlarge that screen, please?
yes.
There you go. Okay, I'm sorry, Allison, go ahead.
Okay.
Is that better there?
Yes.
And then we've also added the wow factor in here for 588,000 is what our estimated cost is right now. We added the Great River change order that we expect to come in the future. And then we added construction service cost for 250,000. We've also added our bond cost of 900,000 to this. And then we amended the budget to include what was in the cooperative agreement of that 10% maintenance cost. Are there any questions about the amended budget?
I have a question. The
Yep.
consulting, what is the roll down of what's the consulting is by chance? I don't remember when we passed this to James earlier.
So the consulting is like our marketing expenses for the website and different fees.
So that's $100,000 for marketing consulting.
Yep, we usually don't spend that whole amount, but we budget 100,000, and really the only expense that we see come out of there is for the website.
Thank you.
Where'd we get the 588 for the wow factor, and where's the 255, the 250 for construction services for project? What's that?
So the 588 is 76 and the 165. That's the one that we're working on, and that was the engineer's estimate for that. And then the 250 services is an estimated cost for third-party construction inspection services and everything. Most of that we're gonna need on this, because you'll have third-party testing to get QA.
Right.
It's a placeholder. And Allison, did you roll up anything else in construction services?
No, I didn't roll anything else up into construction services. That's just what we're estimating for construction services that we put in there.
We had talked about an integrator, or some of you guys wanted to bring a third party person. We definitely need to bring in third party materials inspections.
So that's part of it. So that's the 250 for 3 months, because we haven't started this until August, September earliest.
Sure.
Seems awfully high. And the 588, that's just a ride from the engineers.
Yeah. Yeah, so there were $100,000 placeholders there,
Right.
and it was there, and if we try to roll them all at once, the likelihood that you'll get into that money before December 31st is little to nil, but you have the availability to start ordering things and doing stuff, and then we'll roll that forward as it's an encumbered fund.
So my opinion of it is that I like to budget what we know, not what we don't know.
Well, I mean, we don't even have a bid,
Exactly,
so we're,
exactly. That's
That's
not-
only a placeholder, right?
yeah, these are just placeholders, the money's not moving, it's just it gives us, Allison, correct me if I'm incorrect, but this gives us a place to draw funds from and gives us an account number to draw as things come in, and you know, I guess
Yeah, and we don't expect to spend that, but we'll encumber it into next year because then we know that, hey, we already have the money accounted for. We won't have to do anything with it next year. It's ready to go. And then that gives us the opportunity to bid versus doing a budget amendment before we go out to bid or anything on that wow factor.
And all the ones that are like in your white, those are agreements we've already taken to the board of
Yeah.
aldermen and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I'm not worried about the white ones, I'm worried about debt services, I'm not worried about maintenance costs. I'm not even worried about the $200,000 20% match. It's the bottom two that I would rather. Put a minimal amount in there, we can always do budget exceptions.
The bottom two
Well,
being
the
foul.
588 and the 250. I think the 250 is super high for 2 to 4 months. And the 588, we're not even gonna dig into maybe even half of that this year.
No, you won't.
The
So,
250 would be encumbered. So like if we go out to bid for that, it would be encumbered into next year. So you don't want to go to a contract for 40,000 and only pay for it this year. You would be putting all of that cost up front for the whole project and not just what you're going to spend within the end of the year.
Exactly, that's part of why I would like to see it adjust to something more realistic, or we know it's not gonna use.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
So,
There's two different ways we could go about this, Allison. We could cut the wow factor completely and do another budget amendment if stuff comes in. But
Yeah, that's
services,
fine.
I need something to be able to get into a contract with them, so. If I spend 100 this year, I don't know, I mean, we're gonna throw down some concrete at some point.
well,
I mean,
on that, but even.
we could go out to bid for this too. We could go out to bid for construction services, and then before we award the bid, we can bring it back to you guys with the budget amendment. It will just slow things down.
You're good with that, Allison, but that's what the board's asking for, 0 amount.
Yep, that's fine if we want to take those both out. Just know that it might slow things down on awarding that construction bid to anyone.
Construction services, I'm not sure about that. We just don't wanna put 600 in one and 250 in another. We want to be realistic to what we think we're gonna spend this year. Yeah. So. Paul, what would be next steps so that we're not holding anything up on this?
So it's gonna be kind of a 2.5-step process. The first step would be a motion to amend the resolution by either striking or reducing the certain line items. Assuming that motion passes, the next step would be a motion to approve the resolution as amended. And then the half step, Allison, is I would need you to, since you've got the actual, I guess that's a spreadsheet file, send me a revised budget document that can be attached to the resolution to be signed.
And I can do that.
The reason we're doing this is as Sarah is working on the bond documents and the preliminary offering statement and whatnot, there are representations made to potential investors that the debt service money has been budgeted and appropriated. You'll recall from the budget that we adopted last year for this fiscal year, because we didn't know exactly what that debt service was going to be, the budget didn't include a debt service line item, but it was stated in the budget message that once we knew, then we would come back and amend this fiscal year's budget, which is what this does. I guess the extra half step would be then once Allison transmits to myself and Cheryl the revised budget spreadsheet, then Chuck and Mike will need to be able to come in to Cheryl and sign the resolution. So those are the next steps.
So I make a motion
we reduced the wow factor from 588,000 to 50,000. And to reduce the construction service fees of 250,000 down to 100,000.
Okay, I'm gonna amend the motion.
Don't tell me to come down.
I'll second that. Okay, Alex seconds. Any further discussion? My only comment would be flip flop those. Right? Yeah. Because it was 100,000 wild factor, 50,000 on construction services. That would be my only comment.
So want to amend the motion?
You see amend the motion, Paul, or do we have to vote on this and then go through it again?
So I'll make it simple. What are you wanting to change, the 50 or the 100?
Okay, so I'll amend the motion to reduce the wow factor to 100,000 and construction services down to 50,000.
Alex, do you still second that?
Second that.
Okay. First, second, any further discussion? If none, all those in favor, say by saying aye.
Aye.
Vote same sign.
Now, Chuck, you can do a motion to approve R 26-02 as amended.
So we've already got a motion with it on the floor. Now we need a motion to approve it as amended.
Yes.
So entertain motion to approve resolution number 2026-02 as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Second by Billy. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, say by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. All right. We're done with that one, right, Paul?
I'm sorry.
We're done with that now, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. All right, next item on the agenda, R 2026-03 resolution approving the issuance of sales use tax revenue bonds for the 76 Entertainment Community Improvement District Project Series 2026 and an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $40 million. I wish it was by the Industrial Development Authority of the town, pledging and assigning certain revenues for the purpose of paying the principal and interest on the bonds and authorizing certain other actions and documents in connection therewith. Who's best to lead this, Paul?
Sarah is on and she will present this item.
Great, thank you. It's on yours, Sarah.
Okay, good afternoon. So as you are all aware, we've been working towards this bond issuance. So the resolution before you right now will be the CID's final action on approving the bond issuance, the first series of bonds. So to kind of recap the process that this has been going through and will continue to go through, we met with the IDA, the Taney County IDA, on June 4th. They approved being the issuer of the bonds. So the IDA will be the issuer and the CID is the borrower. And that is to allow us to go out longer than 20 years on the debt service or the term of the bond. CIDs are restricted by state statute to 20 years. So to allow for that extra time for repayment and therefore allow the multiple series of bonds that we're contemplating to finish the entire project, we are going through the IDA. With the IDA as the issuer, the CID is still entering into a few of the documents. They're listed in the resolution. It's a financing agreement, and that's actually between the IDA, the city, and the CID. That financing agreement basically says that the CID will, they commit to annually appropriate funds to pay debt service. So that's similar to that budget amendment that you all just approved on appropriating your some of the net sales tax revenues to payment on the bonds. The city is a part of that agreement because they actually hold and manage those funds. And so They will consider at a board meeting in July. If they approve that document also, they say, okay, if CID appropriates, we will transfer those funds to payment. There's also the bond purchase agreement. Robert W. Baird has been selected as underwriter. That happened a couple years ago. They will be the ones marketing and purchasing these bonds. Then the tax compliance agreement saying you'll do what you can to keep these bonds tax exempt. And the continuing disclosure agreement, there are, with all publicly offered and marketed bonds, there are ongoing requirements for continuing disclosure to the investors. So those are the documents that the district will actually be signing. Along with this whole process, there's the preliminary and then the official statement that gives investors information on the bonds and the district. It also includes information on the city and the IDA as the issuer. So I've been working with several representatives of both the CID and the city to gather that information. A couple final points on what this resolution does. It approves what we call parameters. And so at this point, we are in the authorization part of the process. So like I said, we had the IDA authorization, we're coming to the CID for authorization, and we'll get city authorization, hopefully in, I believe it's July 14th is the meeting. With all of those authorizations in place, Baird and Todd at Piper Sandler will go and work to market the bonds, and we will have a pricing date. I believe near the end of July is when we intend to price those bonds. And this resolution is the CID's it's the CID's way of giving authority to the chair to sign and accept the final pricing terms of the bonds, so long as those terms are within what is approved in the parameters. And so those parameters are listed under Section 2, subpoint B. I'll go over just a couple of them that are, might kind of mean something to the general group here, but so long as the principal amount is not over $40 million, the true interest cost is not over 7%, and that they don't have a final maturity later than 2055. They're subject to optional redemption, so you can either prepay or refund them not later than 10 years following the issue date. And then the underwriter's discount, so basically the compensation that the purchaser gets for purchasing these bonds does not exceed 1% of the principal amount. Happy to answer any questions on those, as is Todd. But that's kind of where we are in the process and where we're going. Once pricing happens, again, I think we're still targeting late July. We'll work towards closing. Todd can probably give a better estimate, I would imagine, probably mid-August on that. And that will be dollars in the bank account to start spending. So happy to answer any questions, or if Todd has anything else he'd like to add.
Do you know when we're expecting to get the city's bond rating?
Yes, we have a rating call scheduled for next Thursday, July 2nd. And we have been in communications with the analyst from Standard & Poor's. We would expect to have some rating questions the early part of next week at the latest, and we'll be working with Paul and Sarah and the folks from Baird on those various rating questions to where we have our responses either prepared in writing ahead of time, or at least we've gone through those and we'll be able to provide verbal answers to the analyst when we get on the rating call. Generally, once the rating call occurs, we'll have a rating in place within about a week. It may extend beyond that given the 4th of July weekend, but that sets us up, like Sarah indicated, to be able to get into the market with having Baird underwrite and market the bonds at the end of July. And then we would have a closing within a couple of weeks after that point. So early to mid-August.
Yeah, do you have a gut feeling what that'll be? What the rating will be, Todd?
At this point, we're requesting, the process we're following is a little different for this type of a credit because it's being rated based solely on the CID, not anything to do with the city of Branson. And so in this case, we aren't exactly sure where the rating will come out. The thought is that if we're in like a triple B type category, that we would move forward with a rated transaction. To the extent the private rating came in below triple B, we may just leave the rating out of the process and just move forward as a non-rated issue. That's going to be a call that Baird is going to have to weigh in on. But if it occurs as we all expect, to be in the triple B category, then we would tell S&P to move ahead with the next step, and instead of it being a private rating, we would ask that rating be made public.
Thank you, Todd.
Do we have any further questions for Todd, Paul, or Sarah? Paul, I'm so you're good with it, you read it, or you and Paul both are solid with everything? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Hearing none, I entertain a motion to approve resolution number 2026-03.
Motion to approve.
Second. First, Mike, second, Billy, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Okay, by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Right. Thank you very much for your guys' hard work on that, because I'm sure it was not the most fun thing to do. Well, maybe it was in your life.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thanks, Sam.
All right, next on the agenda is resolution 2026-04, recommending approval of amendment number 1 to the agreement for the professional consultant services Great River Associates Inc. DBA hearing for the West 76 Country Boulevard segment 1 and 2 streetscape project. Do you guys have that document? Want to go through?
So Todd came and discussed with you all the need for $10,000 in plant development and also $5,000 for going out for survey work, i.e. businesses that have come in the last 2 years, dominoes, so on and so forth, changes to Douglas group that's there. And so they have honestly went out and the work is done. And so they hope that you support that. Because that definitely changes some things. There are a lot of consultants working in the background on good faith, and I came in and talked to you guys, and so we hope you approve that, and we're gonna have one more ask to come for you guys all to make a decision at that point. I would entertain a motion to approve the resolution 2026-04 unless somebody wants the city hanging out to their eyes.
So moved.
We have first and a second. All those in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
All the same sign. Thank you. Let's see, updates on bidding process. So, Cheryl's gonna pull up, I kind of handed out the checklist of what's in progress, what's not in progress, and where we are. And my goal is to always try to be as transparent as possible with you all about where we are. We've met the deadlines that you all set, and super excited about that. In the paper, on through our finance, our legal team turned it around in record time, just a couple days, and so super thankful for all the work inside. MoDOT had come through at the 12th hour, literally, and had green lighted everything that's in the bottom of this. So the only thing we're waiting on is
for them to go to their board with the governor's money and get that all set in. There should be no hiccups there, but the TAPs, the STPs, the locals are all in there. Right now, we believe bid checkout is 10 to 13, but there's also plan holder rooms. And for those that aren't in the construction industry world, plan holder rooms check out. They're large companies. People can check out from them and they help them put together the bids and stuff like that. So, well, lots of talk. We don't go 10 feet without somebody saying, wow, this is really going. So we're super excited about all of that. On this, the thing, we will have some addendums. We know that we released the plans without the final landscape. And a little bit of what happened there was at the very end in 2024, we were kind of wrapped up and on a pausing point. We were still making a little bit of negotiations with some of the owners that were there, and the plans did not go back to Vireo, get the landscape cleaned up, and without a solid plan, it's not there. So we told all the bid holders, that's the last 10 or 15 pages of it, that this will come out, that we can go ahead and bid. It's just the quantities are going to change around. The Great River Engineering and their principal has reassured us multiple times that it's coming. As of today, I still don't have it. And so Vireo is supposedly working on it. They also haven't asked it in a minute. So that will ultimately has to go out before the bids come in, so you get solid numbers that go in. And so those are all the properties where the readjustments, some of the stuff that's hustled right now with Todd's group that got done. And so we did have a couple of the different fiber companies ask for some things that are a little bit different as their business models are changing a little bit and where they want to go and ducts and things like that. And so we did accommodate every bit of everybody's ask. And so lots of late hours, and thank you to our staff and lots of conversations with Great River that they did a great job. So comfortable, yes. That some of the next steps is we have a mandatory pre-bid meeting. That means that if you are a true bidder on the project and you're not a sub, you have to show up. So that way they hear it from our mouths and ask any questions they want. Some people hold it close, some people don't. And that creates one more addendum. So whatever we answer there goes back out to everybody else. Lots of questions are coming in about the gateway. Gateway was delegated design, which for those that aren't in the industry, you kind of give the general area, you give the general foundation, and then you say, hey, there's 3 or 4 listed companies that we agree that probably could be good. Now the contractors are going to go to town and talk to each of these companies that are shortlisted. And so that short list was made by you a couple of years ago, actually. And so those questions are coming in, and those businesses are very busy putting together what's going to come forward there. So happy to answer any questions. I know that's a mouthful. We are, as a group, Cheryl, Matt, and I are pretty confident we're doing pretty good. The plan is, to be dead honest with everybody sitting in this room, I'm like 90% comfortable. For some things, I'm like, I don't know if we really took care of that. And so we're trying to hustle through some of those things. And we know that once you put a shovel in the ground, it's when we really get people's attention, right? So for instance, there's a food truck out there that has some built patios that attach to sidewalks. And that's going to have to be a conversation with the food truck to figure out how we're going to keep them happy, why we're going to, that's our job, and we're happy to do that. So,
Michael, I think you and your team are way above and beyond. We really appreciate you.
we appreciate you all. This is going to be a highly successful project. We did get cost estimates back. I was pleasantly surprised. I'm not saying anything about the numbers that are there because we're going to know very shortly. So we'll see how they did, and we definitely will report how engineers of record put their price together and what it really was, because I think that's super important to say how good did we do or did not do. And so I do want to warn everybody going forward that the conversations about the financials, as Allison will know too, once we get done with bonding and the money's in, it's going to become very complicated. We have 4 sub projects that are on this. So we have a city project, we have the governor's money, and we did some things that kept MoDOT very happy with us with the TAP. So there's 4 that they encompass the project. So if somebody on the outside, so it says, I don't know, really stand 76. So on the website, they have 4. I just want to bid one. They're not allowed to do that. They have to bid all 4, and it's a controlling, basically a mother and daughter. And so you have to get everything done to get to here. Thank you for the bonus structure. I know that excites a lot of people that are out there, and we'll see what they do. We have heard a little bit of feedback as recently as today is that it's an aggressive timeline. So faster than a year is very aggressive, and so we're probably going to knock out at least 1 or 2 of the bidders because they won't be able to come. So, but that's good, and that's good for business. So, and good for the residents that are there. So, and visitors.
Now, last board meeting, we talk about Liberty holding their staff, Liberty.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Is it where you guys are?
Liberty did deliver a 30% plan set to us, and it has by contract. The contract to get it, but I got it. So, yes, like 30%. Yeah, 30% plans. That's all right. They're in the back 40. Is what I call it. So
Okay.
we have a love-hate relationship right now. So it's okay.
But
It's nothing with it. It's nothing to do with the city or feelings of the city. It's their company, and so it's rough. And I sure hope they figure it out someday. And so they've had a lot of turnover. And so
Yeah, I know Junior.
Junior is no longer there. That made me cry pretty hard. So that's a big deal. He got out. So, but we might see Junior again, from what I heard. So you never know.
I know there's a lady that took his place is out of job hunt. She doesn't return.
So
Yeah.
so how do you feel about Liberty? No, anyways. I know this all recorded, and I hope Liberty listens. Like, you guys need to straighten out. So we'll get there. Any other questions about the bidding process timelines? We've met every timeline that we think. You know, I do want to let you also know that we wrote in some provisions to control the contractor. We took some MoDOT provisions in there. We also, the general contractor, if they come with a change order, that's not a bid item. So for instance, a linear foot of sidewalk and something else comes, the largest that you pay for the linear price of wherever you go, that's an agreed value. If there's something that pops up that's not there, the general contractor is limited to 10%. If they have a sub doing the work, they get 3% on top of that. So it's actual cost, actual hours on that. City projects, as you may know, or not know, and a lot of you have your own private businesses, we pay a little bit different prices than the rest of you do because an item falls number 33, wage order 33. So I think that's the one we're on, and that's the newest. And 32 went to 33. So everybody got a raise, right? There you go. But that's good. And we do wage orders, and we make sure that people are getting paid what they're promised to be paid by the different trades that they're in. So.
And a couple of these are under the federal Davis-Bacon Wage Act. So different. So whichever the one is the higher is what we pay.
That's what we pay. This is going to challenge our skills with MoDOT for sure, and I'm excited to do skills with them. $4, 4 dailies, 4 inspections, 4 possibilities, 4 closeouts. Really good time. So we're excited. I'm super excited. So I've been there, and we're very thankful for MoDOT just to listen. So, when you brought up the gateways shortlisted, are they allowed to go outside of the short list as well? Restricting them. But we restricted them to the short list that was there.
Since we picked those, what was it, 2 years ago, 3 years ago? Can you remind me who the short list is, and if there's somebody that one of us may have worked with that might have some experience in that side?
Yeah.
Can we increase the list?
Yeah, so there was one company that Cheryl, is it possible we can bring it up on the screen? So Pinnacle is a local company that's there. There's a company out of Kansas City that's there. There's a company, it's on page 1. I can almost do that. We can get that and we can keep on moving. There's a company that may or may have not came out of Colorado that made an octopus. Yeah, didn't there?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, the only reason I ask is because we I mean, just my company, which I'm sure you guys as well have different ability to. I mean, there's other companies that potentially could come in on this as well, just to make it. Sure. I don't know, it's just a thought.
So so how the bid item works, so Pinnacle Group, Amy Jacobson and Demerge LLC.
Demerge. Those two, three. What was the? I'm sorry, I thought there was four. There's only.
Pinnacle, Amy Jacobson and Demerge.
Might want to look at expanding. If it's not.
If anybody has a suggestion of a company, take that and add them on to that. It'll be in an addendum one.
I'll send us your list of probably. Further there, just because.
Yep. So how it is in the bid document, the original bid item that was on there that you guys have seen probably 2 years ago is $2.1 million for all the sculptures, the entrance and pieces that are there. We back that back into the actual description is that they can't spend more than $2.1 million. They can go out to those companies and whatever that's there. The reason we did that is that some people were saying, I can do it a whole lot cheaper or better or whatever. So the contractors are gonna have to talk to subs that are out there, and the subs are now asking questions that I'm gonna ask you all. And that there'll be a time where we need to reach out to you all and say, hey, this is some of it. So it's a delegated design, and it's what we started with in the beginning. So it's just saying, this is our general idea, this is the general rendering that we want, this is the area that we want, and this is what we want there. So it's kind of done with Jeremy and your boards. Crazy. I like sidewalks that you can measure. And storm sewer you can measure. I'm not the artsy one. That's right. Yeah, we have the right board, and that's what you control. So it's very good.
Anything else on the bidding process? I don't have anything with first question.
It's not a bidding question, it's a timeline question. Has there been any thought from the CID perspective and for the cities, I'm sure it overlays on like the theme and messaging of like when we're gonna start hitting the public with a game plan on controlling the narrative? Because I've heard some great conversations happening around the community on how to skin that cat. But when we're to your earlier point about the cost of consulting, maybe that's an area where we're gonna take a proactive stance and try to control. You can't control everything, but try to be proactive in messaging to our guests, like this upgrade, this opportunity, whatever that looks like. Has there been discussions?
Yeah, I'm actually gonna bring that up during reports. Yeah, the city's taking an aggressive stance on messaging. And so I've had Maria reach out to Ann to set up some time. We're gonna have a dedicated web page similar to a lot of our larger capital projects. So it'll be a lot of the question and answer. It'll be periodic, so like a timeline of everything, where we are to date on the 76 CID. It will be in a massive data dump that anyone can go to, and then we'll message it on social media too. I mean, it kind of had a missed opportunity on the comms front when the bids were posted. That would have been nice, right, to put out, I think, to the community for them to know, because that shows a lot of progress and forward momentum. But we're going to look at those milestones on this chart and have that ready to go. So that's in progress. As for the 76 CID communications, I really think it'd be pertinent of this board to ask the consultants to put together a communications plan and to have a demonstrated plan laid out, what some of the deliverables are going to be, what the website's going to look like. Because there's a question that's going to come up of where do I find out more information on this project? Do I go to the city's website or do I go to the 76 CID's website? And I don't want to do that. So I think there's probably a conversation amongst this board of how do stakeholders look at that. I don't know, is there a mailing list that we have on the stakeholder side? We can do email distributions. As much as we want to let the general community know, right? I think a lot of people that are paying this tax also do their account. So I just want to open this conversation up. Thank you all for starting.
And we already have the site up for information.
We do. I mean, there hasn't been much to say for a while, but the site's been in place for a couple of years that the board approved. I don't remember when, but it's been there a while. Maria and I are meeting today at 3 to sort of coordinate that effort. And we'll get going quickly. And we do have email addresses, at least again, those things get outdated fairly quickly, but when we did the annexation, we gathered all of those contacts, emails, and have that in a database for the 76. That's generally the only people we've really been communicating with lately are those folks within the district, but now it's definitely time to broaden that.
We look forward to partnering.
Yeah, me too.
Well, I suggest, Patrick and I serve on the chair board, and we were discussing this in our executive meeting yesterday, just how can we utilize the chamber for some of this communication, especially what we learned with downtown. I mean, unlike downtown, there's not jackhammers at people's doorstep. I mean, we have parking lots before entrance doors and box offices, but Patrick had a great suggestion yesterday, two of the stakeholders, Hughes and Duttons, they signed easements and they have fan bases. Could we do some videos with them? Something to educate and, is there communication to the guests? Like, this is positive, this is not negative, this is gonna be great. So I just submit that, I think, for being a board member of the chamber, I know they would be willing to really assist us. I don't know how we coordinate that, but.
Well, the big thing's gonna be coordination between me and the city, and then taking the chamber's ideas. Coordinate with the chamber and make sure that whoever is on our website, same it's on your guys' website and vice versa. Yep. And even anything that the chamber wants to include, if you guys add a page on the chamber website, maybe associated, or maybe it's a link that goes through the city or above, the CIP. You have the right forms, making people possible, but the ideas of videos, things like that for guests that are coming to dine, that's huge. Great. So I'm excited to see what they have. See put together.
Not recommend, a link from all these sites we're talking about, a link to one site that is keep updated with all the videos and all the browsing.
We took the liberty for Alderman Williams here, that this is the site that this group runs, and this is for instance, 76.com has your leadership, your background, your news, and the updates that are there. I know Ann and Maria have been in contact. We threw it out the door and it's out there, but we did a pretty good splash with contractors and stuff. As soon as you all work that out, of course, administration handles that, so.
And I don't think the city wants to put a bunch of stuff on their website to compete with this site, right? So it's kind of like, what's the right, to the mayor's point, what's the right page? I think we've invested in this website, right? It looks fantastic, the video looks great. And I'd be fine linking, any traffic that comes through Google or on our website, any search bars. So we can even do a hot link on our main page that actually directs it back to the site. So that we're not, like our streetscape project, I really like the way that promise worked out, that plan. We had all the different things that were on there. That was on the city site, right? I think it probably, I don't know if you agree on this, but I think it probably makes sense to have it, probably all the information land on this site. And
I agree with that.
Maria would be more than happy to help with you, and
she was involved in that, knows how that rolled out. Okay, perfect. We'll go over all that. We'll set up some clear plans and a timeline that is coordinated with all three. I think to your point, Mike, that the CBB is going to be great at communicating with visitors, especially those before they get to town. And we'll of course work with the engineers to do as we did in segment one, a lot of that communication on the street with signage and that sort of information for visitors that are in town. Then you've got residents that want to know what's going on, and then you've got your real stakeholders in the district that have stakeholders. They got a stake in the game, right? Their business is sitting there and dealing with it. They need to know what's happening on a couple of different levels. So we'll get a plan to address all of that, is put together quickly and bring it maybe to the next board meeting, at least a preliminary.
With downtown, we did.
It's /991.
Yep. We did texting service and that conversation we had about who will do that texting service that was honored out and kind of given out and how we did downtown, if you all weren't in there, is we did week by week. Maria is an awesome communications person that's in our office. Sure, we'll work with Ann and Maria together. I just verbally tell you everything that's going on. She created these great little blips about here's what's really going on, and she's a blessing to work with, and we're proud, right? We were really proud of the steps, the monumental steps that got there. And when we got halfway, we had everybody around the bee that everybody knows so Jim now. So I'm keep on scrolling down, and so And that's what it'll look like. It'll be 52 weeks of that. The drone footage and all that, we did that in-house with our engineering staff. We definitely have some different thoughts on that. They have to get licenses because it's a helicopter freeway over there. And so, may not be as cool pictures for that, but that's a little bit of stuff that we'll talk through and outside of there, but the board that's sitting here can definitely be aware.
Between Ann and Maria, what you guys have here is gonna look great. It's gonna be updated consistently, so.
So there's like, project schedule, there's phasing, construction timeline, and then there's just a lot of things like text alert, social media, stay up to date, hey, here's helpful information. I think that's gonna be really important. So that bottom part's gonna be huge.
Like the bottom part, maybe really quick towards the top part.
Probably guys got to get snag you, but it's not that. People like hold you to those things.
Mr. Chairman, that's my question.
It's your side. You can back out on our side.
Cell number.
That's my plan number.
I do have all your numbers and yes, I am that tech savvy. All right, any further discussion on this? So we need to go, we kind of already started on project timeline, we were discussing this, so.
Yeah, so we'll scroll back down and we'll kind of get down there. So each meeting that we have, we continue to do, just even when Sarah said, hey, bond pricing is here, we're adding those items in progress, not trying to keep the 1,000 moving plates that are going around, keep them going. And so, the intent still is Labor Day, working towards that, all of our contract documents and everything that's out there. So, the next big step in this is, do we have a responsible, good, solid bid, right? And so, and it's okay. I'm going to say that today. We have a lot of interest. I'm not as concerned as I was on some other stuff, but sometimes the contractors look at it and they say, you're being too aggressive. MoDOT learned that on the slide repair across the river. If you all have followed any of that was supposed to be done and already moving it, and that got delayed a couple times. Downtown Branson, we put an aggressive time schedule on and it didn't fit into anybody's schedule. But the good thing is that the contractors seem very, very hungry, and hunger is good. And so they've been waiting for this a long time, and I'm excited to open it. I hope we have 3 or 4 so we can make a really good educated decision. And realizing too that what we see sometimes, just in a couple $1 million overlay, we'll see $600,000 laid on the table. And that's on a couple $1 million. So we did really work very hard. We do have to come into consensus once the bids come in. It's not only what the city staff thinks is right, that will come to you and tell you what we think will probably work, and a company that's there, you'll have to approve it. MoDOT will have to approve it, and the board will have to approve it. So multiple steps of people, and thanks for the trusting of that.
One additional step is they have to be pre-qualified with MoDOT also, the bidders do.
Right, and so what that it is for those that are on the outside of means, you can start at MoDOT with a certain size of value of projects with them, and you grow it into the bigger projects. So they will have to be on that qualified list, and that's good. So I do expect that most of the contractors will use subs. So once they do disclose and we select, we get information on all the subs and who they are. Any questions on that? So wait and see. So
the only question I have is, how aggressive since meaning, do you think that we'll have shovels in the ground 10-8? Or is there a way to get shovels in the ground 9-15?
I think if we follow all the steps that are here, the contract's in place, we issue the notice proceed, and the time clock is turned on. And good luck to them.
Yeah, what I'm saying is you got notice to proceed on 9-8, right?
Yep. They could be, that is the first day they could begin construction, but the time clock is literally hitting the time clock to go.
So will they have already received the approved bid by 9-8? Receiving.
Yeah, and we built some time, we put some time in there.
So potentially on 9A, they're already in they're, yeah, they wanted to, so potentially on 9.9, they can catch us. Sure. The only reason I'm asking that is we're looking at our 60-day Senate program 7.9, right? We all know how Brainsville is right now, business wise, how busy it is right now. I mean, it's good and steady. It's solid. We know what it's gonna be like in the next couple of weeks. If we can get, and that's more 6.9, which would be probably a very welcome benefit to the people that are being interfered with during this construction project. Just saying.
Yeah, but the issue, again, you have to have concurrence.
No, I understand. There's a lot of moving places. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm just throwing it out there. It's benefited. We could slide it up somehow. So. I'm not.
Thanks for that, Chuck.
I'm not asking. What do you think?
I mean, we look at this daily, we shave times, again, another great point is stuff was late coming in and legal turned it around. I mean, like, that's a blessing for city staff to approach it that way and realize how important it is. You know, I believe that our administration, our board of aldermen, you all, I mean, you have your meetings, and I know we do special meetings, and you know, you're welcome. I can send this out digitally, and if somebody else wants to try to help us find some more duration of days. I mean, the real worry is making sure we don't rush to fail, right? That these plans have to be solid, because everything that's not in the plans when you accept is a change order. And so, and I know Todd on vacation today, and Spencer, they will listen to this either. I've been tough on them, very tough. They will tell you that, so. I'm just
So things like, the Board of Aldermen calling a special meeting to save a couple of weeks,
Right.
things like that.
Yeah, or what we could come to you all and ask for double read the resolution. So there's lots of
For
things we
special
can do.
meetings,
I think a lot of it has to do with bond too. Right.
So the bond, I don't know if Sarah is still on. I did contact her. And so in the actual construction documents, JSPs that are in there, there's a $10 million hold point that's on there. So you're never too far out from that. She assured me that you had already approved that we could do the whole amount, but I felt like a $10 million hold dollar point is comfortable for me. And your money, by the way it's looking, will be in place. And so that's another thing where we talked about earlier. This is a little abnormal for the city. The city usually has funds in place before we do that. Very, very similar to why we were asking for the WOW money and all that. And, you know, we go on a little bit of good faith and a little bit different, but finance has been flexible along with that administration. So.
Yeah, I will. I can jump in there. Is the question about if you can start basically incurring costs before you have the bond proceeds?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so back a while ago now, this CID and the city both passed resolutions or ordinances that indicated their own intent to issue or pursue tax exempt financing for the project. And so with that, what we call reimbursement resolution in place, you are able to incur costs that then can be reimbursed out of bond proceeds on the tax exempt basis when those proceeds are received. Those authorizations are good at least 3 years. Really, we could go beyond that. So we're well within that time frame of any costs that you incur now can be reimbursed with the proceeds when they are received.
Thank you, Sarah. Any other questions on the? None. Not sure if we all got the email or if I got the email, but Cheryl sent an email. I did not have new business on here, but there is some new business that might like to discuss.
Okay, so couple new business items that are there. So Vireo was responsible for your irrigation and landscape plans that were there. They also did all your renderings. Vireo updated the last corridor plan in 2024 of August. So we've had, as you all know, we've had some tweaks, changes, and driveways that have been adjusted and so on and so forth. Cheryl's gonna bring up, and we're gonna discuss two things that are here. One of them being that Vireo is suggesting that for rendering updates, it's $5,400. Virio's scope, I want to read to you so you all know, and then we need to make some type of decision. There, I understand that moving money would be the next meeting, but if they got a verbal from this board, similar to Todd, they're gonna do work in good faith, and we're gonna come back to that. So Vireo said their scope of work for task 10 that was in the overall contract was that they would update the August 2024 corridor plan rendering to reflect the final roadway, sidewalk, and landscape design. The scope does not include revisions to the 3D perspective renderings. 3D perspective renderings are these renderings that are up in the corners and also in the bottom. And so my question to the board is, I asked Great River Engineering, I said, hey, we've changed things, and some of this stuff is flat out wrong, right? And so if we're gonna do a communications package together, I don't want somebody to see a drawing and say, man, I see a bridge there and 3 people standing on there and there's no bridge there. And so the question basically comes down to, do you want to invest the money to update this and you hold this back and there are no renderings to share for like downtown? We paid a different service outside of Vireo to do renderings, or is this something that this board would want to have another company come in and do renderings? The second question that's interlaid in that is, we had a long discussion about the archway going in. And so that's actually showing the correct one archway in there, but it says Branson 76 Entertainment District. And we had a pretty good long discussion about what is the verbiage that needs to be there. And the companies that are on the short list are asking, hey, if I'm going to provide a bid document of what my cost is going to be to the general contractor, how many letters are you guys putting on here and what's the words going to be? They're asking for that answer during the bidding process. So I would love if those couple of questions can be talked about with the board and you give us some general direction for where to go, because this is part of that. The interesting thing about this is we're zoomed in right here, so we can, Branson 76 Entertainment District, we just need to come up with the actual words, if it's welcome to Branson, if it's whatever the board desires, and we will do that. If we scroll out here, the important thing about this rendering, and I printed just a handful of them, is that if it's such a high density rendering that if I'm, for instance, Schlotzsky's, let's go into Schlotzsky's, you can scroll all the way in down to the plans. So it's what's hanging upstairs in my office. It's something that we use too. And the interesting thing for that would be like, for instance, it's Mr. Brocock's property. There were some drawings that were on there that are no longer accurate. And I don't want to send something out that somebody sees this or we're using on the website. Is that so? Hopefully I didn't overtalk that, but there it is. What's the cost? $5,400 is just for the sidewalks and landscaping part. The cubes or boxes or perspectives, they did not. And I have asked for this from Vireo and Great River Engineering since April. So Vireo is engaged. And so the email that I got, or a text message I got last night was, here's the price. I'm like, that's not how that works. And so I asked them for scope, and I read you the scope that we got.
I think it's very important to manage the expectations and manage potential disappointments, especially at this stage. Some of this information, like you said, is a year and a half, 2 years old. And so anything that we know, putting up something where people are walking on a bridge would be ridiculous, right? Because we'll be hearing about that weekly or monthly. So managing the expectations, I think, is very important. And if that's what Vireo's plan is to update all this to the most current.
They're updating it. I want to make sure I'm clear. It's a very small slice of it. And so my question is in downtown, we had a different artist necessarily do it. And I said, what does that artist? Because Vireo, apparently we can ask Todd, but River Engineering was not able to tell me what was going on, but they had a little bit of disagreement and talks. And so, you know, what is another company and anywhere from 9 to 15,000 and they can produce tons of renderings for you guys. So that's a conversation for you all. I think the $5,400 is very general, and then the blobs that are there are not getting done. It's not what I asked for or I thought that this board would want. I felt like that in the description of the contract, they were responsible and they have drawn the line that August 2024, they were told by the previous engineer of record that we were done, and this is the final rendering. So they had spent their money.
I'd entertain other options. Other options, why not get the full package that's gonna be beneficial? All we're getting is little updates here and here. I mean, for 10 grand, you could probably get a completely updated full package that's gonna show more realistically what the plans actually reflect. I think that's got more value than spending $5,400 to do a halfway job.
Yeah.
Well, just from the communications side of things, which was what we're talking about, releasing these to the public, right? This big, long diagram was not useful for communications anyway. By the time you zoomed in, it was terrible resolution. As you mentioned, people couldn't quite find where they were in here. If it's still functional for you guys because it lines up with plans, that's great. But if we're gonna pay for additional renderings, I would focus on the gateway. I would focus on the area in front of Lodge of the Ozarks. Those are gonna be usable, and the wows that we're talking about, not very many people want to study this 3 mile long sidewalk and exactly where it turns and bends and, you know, has a bush or doesn't have a tree, you know, so if I agree, visuals are crazy important. I agree, we don't want people to expect things that aren't going to be delivered, but let's get some visuals if this is designed for the public that are workable for the public, because this one really never was.
I think we're looking at workability for the public, but we're also looking at workability for the stakeholders and what their property is kind of visually gonna look like as well. So I understand 100% what you're saying here completely, but I feel like the visibility for the stakeholders that own those properties, and now that we have plans that are more in line, even landscape, we can kind of get a better real look at what it's gonna look like in front of Hampton or Slotsky's or whatever that is, and I feel like there's a benefit to both. And I don't see any reason why if they get the visuals on, like what you're saying, the gateway, get the visual of Lodge of the Ozarks, and then go ahead and do the middle stuff too for everybody else. I think that's
We're doing all, I'm able to pull those out.
pull those out, use them for additional advertising or, you know,
That's useful. Well, yeah, and this little relaxation node, I mean, those aren't really very valuable because maybe that's what the bench looks like, but maybe we ordered one that's slightly different or whatever, you know, those were really just sort of vision, not.
You don't
very
put anything
specific.
on there that's not gonna necessarily be on there.
Right.
And I agree.
And I agree that having just nothing for the only beneficial for the marketing side, but we do have a number of residents that are more in the anal mode, the more detail mode, and I think they would appreciate being able to go through this kind of detail.
I mean, if it's my property, I can go through and find you, so see what you, yeah, absolutely. You know, it's no different, but I'll just use this for an example. We looked at 73 when we did the licensing. We had a plan to show what was gonna be in front of the licensing, right? We looked at the landscape plan, and to be honest with you, it was good, but not great. So we decided to throw an extra $45,000 into making it great. So there's all those different aspects for the property owners to be able to do.
Well, and it also would be nice to have a rendering that is approved for public distribution of the Gretna intersection and that new wow that this group's funding as well. So, yeah, because now we've really got 3 places that we can point to and say, look how great this is going to be, general public, and then have whatever detail we need for property owners too. That'd be ideal.
So I guess my idea, my direction here, and correct me if I'm wrong with you, put it out, get some other possible quotes. The renderings. That will do the two areas, the gateway as well as the Lodge of the Ozarks area, because those are the biggest areas. For the entire detail along with for public circulation. And as for your question regarding the Branson 76 Entertainment District, the number, I would have them bid it with this because chances are that we're gonna be good with the letters
Or
are.
cost per letter.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, I mean, they have deliverable designs, and so. Contractors.
I'm gonna be honest with you, my opinion is, I'm not experienced or expertise in what that should say, and if it was me, I would take that and put it out to H2R for a survey from other people. And not, that's my opinion of what it should say across time.
Can you do a survey to maybe the business owners on, or it's a community thing?
We could definitely do that, but the thing about it is would you want to survey what we put together is 3 to 5, or would you rather somebody come up with 3 to 5 and then survey? That's kind of, I mean, Branson 76 Entertainment District sounds cool.
It sounds cool to us.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Welcome to Branson, sounds cool. Yeah, very welcome people back from Silver City. I mean, it's good.
Wait, we're on city in Branson, right?
What do you think, Michael?
I don't, but I agree. I mean, I will put this out, but I think we need to give some ideas.
Yeah, I think, and I don't know the best way to go about that. So I understand the design aspect and that process, but see if they can do it based on the number of letters. We'll try to get an answer to them very soon.
Do the full letters that are there in rooms.
Good. Yeah, that's.
Shouldn't be any longer.
You can spell out 76 maybe.
We need to say Missouri pronouns and, yeah.
Thank you, Lucy. Does anybody have things like that?
Is the comps plan, just timeline wise, is there a rough idea, or does there need to be these other discussions first to figure out if we're gonna get graphics and when those are gonna get pushed out? You know what I'm saying? Like, we know tentatively between September and October, shovels going into the ground. Are we far enough along to have an idea when we're gonna go out with our unifying message, or is that still being decided?
Second. And Maria, I think
They're gonna work on
we need to
it.
get together and actually kind of put a plan in place. And sooner than later, you said this week you guys are doing something.
At 3 o'clock, actually.
There you go.
Get wrapped up.
Yeah. Hurry up, child.
It's coming quick.
When you guys are done, maybe it's just an email out to the board. You guys are thinking, so we can decide if we can have a special meeting or if we can just say run with it, or I don't know the next process on that, but knowing Ann, she's gonna be on top of it. The biggest thing I think would be these renderings, because she's gonna want to use those for the messages.
I saw I got into the renderings and what I knew was accurate, that wasn't changing. I gave her 2 to get it.
But that's great. Oh, that's great. At least there's some she has,
They're not high density.
good enough.
Okay, so we will tell Virgo, thank you, and I will ask Great River Engineering for some suggestions if anybody's on this board and knows company or people that like to do this kind of work. Plans are online and accurate except for the landscaping part, that we could work with them to get there. So let's see if I can get anybody.
Well, the guy that did this is a friend of mine. It's not Great River. It's David Silver. He did all my work. He's the guy that's doing all the Disney and Animal Kingdom right now. Redoing, but he has all this in a 3D in AutoCAD. He's the one that generated all this. Now, some of this he did not do that because you can tell, because at the end, when his design, the Great River, and it was David Silver that did all this. This is his drawing. So he has the 3D model of that thing.
You did your H design?
No, this is this, but actually he's my partner in design. He does a lot of work for me. Right now he's really busy. I just talked to him about 30 minutes before our meeting. But I talk to Michael about it.
Yep.
And see, but he's probably the best designer in the world.
You don't start over, though, you have to log that.
Yeah, he has this in his computer.
I mean, that may be the reason why Verio.
You're not doing it, they
said-
can't,
Said this.
they can't do it because
It's above
David
and
has,
beyond.
David has the,
There you go.
and also use some of the work he's done, YouTube, along the way. He did the whole master plan for Epic, the new theme park.
We'll work towards that and they'll be slow to. Run, so.
I like it. Anything further on this? Everybody in agreement on that? Alright, does anybody have anything else to get to the call?
Well, let me ask you a question about, and then it's been moving forward, where are we at on the grid now? At 76 stuff.
So Grid 76, from our last meeting, we had given them the marching orders to straighten out the flags that were there and also rendering for a selfie spot that's there. We sent a couple out, included in that. That is in third hands. We also talked about some of the deterrents that we could do for making sure that people just enjoyed the area and then overstay. And so we came up with some triangular rock concept would be uncomfortable to stay at for too long, but long enough you could hang out for a minute and take some pictures. And they are in the process of turning that back to us. Our real goal is to get this out because the JSPs that are on this, you're going to see very similar JSPs back into this. Because there's going to be, the majority of that project is city money that's in there for the signalized intersection and for the paving. You guys are going to cover the sidewalks, some of the stuff that's in there that we had talked about very long ago as we were moving things around. And so we expect that we will be putting that out to bid probably by August 1st. And then we'll set up the timeline that all these come together all at once. It is going to be, if we pull this off, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be really awesome.
When you pull it off.
Yeah. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh,
there it is.
We're gonna shout.
I think it's the time to ask if we get board approval. But if we can engineer the American flag to include a POW flag underneath.
You'll do that.
I didn't see it.
That's in the works now, and so we did a line hold item for the wavy flag that was there. And we did a line hold, and so basically you're gonna end up with artists medals very similar to what we're doing here. Both of those are $100,000 a piece, and then we're asking what they think selfie spot will cost, and there'll be a line hold item there, and then that being the wild, right, will come back to you all with contractor bids and wins and there. And so you can massage it all the way into the finish line. So.
Hey Cheryl, before we adjourn, Allison sent the revised budget document. Before Chuck and Mike leave, can you have them sign all the resolutions, print off the revised budget document, attach it, and then scan and email it out?
Do we not need to amend that resolution?
Not the resolution itself. The budget document was just the attachment to it. Thank you.
Yes. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second. All those in favor, state by saying aye.
Yes.
Same sign.
It's
Yeah.